Hey, do you want to come see these?
Oh my god.
Wait, these look so good.
They're so good.
This thing might actually be a problem. Sony just released a $5,000 point-and-shoot camera. $5,099 for this. At first, I thought it was insane, and honestly, part of it still is. But after shooting with it, I found a few things that really surprised me. The build, the film looks, and even this quirky lens. I mean, you could get a Sony a7CR, which has the same sensor and a lot more capabilities for both photo and video. Put the Zeiss 35 1.4 on it, which is a pretty similar lens to the Zeiss 35 f2 that comes on the RX1R III, and technically have a better setup for about $1,000 less. The only other difference there would be a notable size difference, but more money just for a more packable camera. Something's not adding up. Why does this camera even exist? In this video, I'm gonna break down why this camera seems a bit ridiculous, where it actually really shines, and who this $5,000 camera is really for. Let's start with why people are calling the price point a bit outrageous. On paper, the a7CR basically does everything that this camera does, and then some. It's more capable for video, it has in-camera image stabilization, and you can also change lenses. So simply from a price per feature standpoint, the a7CR makes way more sense. But it isn't always that simple, is it? More on that in a second, but let's first talk about how we got to this $5,000 price point. Looking at history, the original RX1 back in 2012 was priced at $2,799, or about $3,800 today with inflation. The RX1R Mark II in 2015 was $3,299, or about $4,200 today. The RX1R Mark III is $5,099, so that's $800 to $900 above where you'd expect it. Sony didn't just account for inflation, they're positioning this as a luxury product. But once you actually use it, this thing has some very real strengths. Full disclosure, Sony did send me this camera to try out. This video is not sponsored and they're not going to see any of this before it goes live. And honestly, I don't want to send it back. It's kind of like when your dad's buddy tosses you the keys to an Audi R8 for the weekend. You know you can't keep it, but while you have it, it's just a ton of fun, and here's why. First off, the build. It feels premium, solid, but also completely stealthy. It's a full-frame camera that you can put in your jacket or easily pack away, and that's really valuable if you travel or shoot street. The autofocus and overall tech are here in full force. You get Sony's latest subject recognition. It'll lock onto eyes, animals, cars, birds, and you name it, and it's accurate and sticky in a way that makes you forget you're using such a small camera. It's exceptional. The only catch is that the lens itself slows things down a bit. It's a little slow and it's noisier than you might expect at this price. So while the autofocus system is world-class, the lens mechanics do hold it back just a little. Still, and overall, it's surprisingly capable. And then that 61 megapixel sensor isn't just any sensor. It's arguably Sony's best sensor for photography. The detail is insane, the dynamic range is top tier, and the crop power in a body this compact feels almost unfair. You're literally getting A7R5 level files out of such a compact little camera. And that's kind of wild, actually. And then the film looks. Sony pre-installed film look 1, 2, and 3, and number 3 in particular is gorgeous straight out of camera. I don't normally use these, I typically shoot in RAW, but I found myself shooting in JPEG with film look 3 and loving the straight out of camera results. In the Zeiss lens, it's 10 years old, and we've already talked about where it's held back a little bit from an autofocus perspective, but this lens has a ton of character. The rendering, the soul of it, and this is probably my favorite part about this camera is this combination. There is something special happening with that 61 megapixel sensor, the older high character lens, and for me, film look 3. Those three things combined, the images just look special. What do you think?
I love them.
Yeah?
Mhm.
Don't they look good?
Yeah, they're like the exact style that I like. I can't explain it.
So yeah, what it does incredibly well. But this camera might not make sense for everyone. There's no in-body image stabilization, so in low light, you might fight some blur. The screen is fixed, which is kind of a step back from the tilt screen that was in the RX1R Mark II. Bit of an odd choice there, in my opinion. Some are saying that the electronic viewfinder is a bit too small. I found that it actually worked great. I like the EVF a ton, but the camera doesn't have any weather sealing, which is unfortunate, and it is using the Sony NP-FW50 battery, which is going to be good for about 300 shots. Not great there. The mechanical shutter only goes to 1/2000. This would be, if it was me, one of those potential deal breakers. The electronic shutter can get you up to 1/4000. Electronic shutters might introduce some wobble here and there. I tend to stick to mechanical shutters. The issue there is that in bright light, you'll probably need to stop down on your f-stop, which kind of defeats the purpose of having an f2 lens in the first place. So if you're after the best price per feature, or you need a hybrid camera that does both photo and video well, this is not your answer. Get the A7CR or even the A7C Mark II, or look into something like an A6700 if you're really after that feature-rich camera body. It's also going to be a lot lower of a price point than the RX1R Mark III. Because the RX1R Mark III is simply for a very different type of buyer. So who exactly is this camera for? This is for travel and street photographers who want something stealthy and simple. A pocketable, full-frame camera with insane image quality. It's for people who value character over specs. It's for the pro whose main workhorse is like an A9 Mark II, who wants a fun, like weekend hobby camera, or to have as a B cam on shoots. It's the camera that person's gonna use on the weekends or take on a trip. So why would a pro who already owns amazing cameras with swappable lenses, why would they want like a compact fixed lens camera? Honestly, it's about freedom through limitation. With an interchangeable lens system, you're often overthinking your options. With this, you just shoot. And it's going to take a lot of pros back to their roots. Many actually enjoyed this restriction because it makes photography feel more artistic than technical. And on top of that, it's pocketable full frame power that you can carry anywhere. And it's stealthy, so when you point it at people, they don't tense up. And the lens, it's quirky, a little imperfect, but it's got character. And that combination of quality, simplicity, stealth, and soul is exactly what pros are going to look forward to with a camera like this. It's for Sony loyalists who see this as like a halo product, or people who want to flex that they've got Sony's most exclusive compact. So for the right person, this camera isn't just good, it's outstanding. Although it does have some of the drawbacks hanging over it that we spoke about earlier. And I know, like a lot of those reasons don't really add up to north of a $5,000 price point. They don't for me either. And that's because we're looking at it through the price per feature aspect, which is completely logical and completely normal. But the person who buys this camera is probably not flinching at $5,000. But if you are thinking about getting it and $5,000 seems like a lot because it is, you might be wondering if it's going to at least hold its value. The RX1R Mark II launched at $3,299 back in 2015. Today, they still go for about $2,000, and that's around 60% of the original value after 9 years. Using some logic, and yes, I'm speculating and forecasting here, but the RX1R Mark III will probably dip maybe to around $4,000 in the next couple of years, and it should plateau from there. It's not going to hold its value like a Leica Q, but it most likely won't depreciate as fast as other Sony cameras. So where does that leave us? This is a $5,000 camera. That seems ridiculous, but when you actually use it, it's a lot of fun. It's not versatile, it's not great value for the money in comparison to some other cameras, but for that very specific niche user, it's pretty great. But whether you pick up this camera or whatever one that you're using, if you want your stuff to look good, one thing that I've learned is you have to learn how to nail your white balance. It's a bit of an underrated skill. Anyways, that's exactly why I put together this guide right here. Anyways, I'll see you in the next video. Take care. See ya.